Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka GLauren33. I'm back here today with another episode of the Legit Shoot podcast. Here with your SmackDown review and results for October 8th, 2021. I believe this is our first SmackDown review of the month, so I got the date. I almost got the date wrong. And I am recording this a couple days after the show, but you guys always tell me, you guys doesn't matter to you guys. You guys want the reviews no matter when I post them. So, and I do actually have a good amount that I want to talk to you guys about. And I'm recording it off screen, or not off screen. I'm not live streaming this one because I kind of want to focus on the topics that we're going to talk about, especially when it comes to the women's division, okay? And I'll say this, all right? We had the WWE draft on Monday. Finished up last Monday, and the review for that, of course, is live on the channel for some of you guys who missed it. We talked about all the picks from Raw and SmackDown. We talked about basically where's the rosters going and where's this company going. And I'm gonna, for some of you guys who didn't go check that review out, first off, you guys should. But I'm gonna say basically the same thing that I said on that podcast here today. It doesn't matter, really. I came out of the draft not feeling really any better or any worse about this company. And the reason for that is because at the end of the day, WWE's been doing the same stuff over and over and over again for a very long time. We've been in this brand split since 2016. And to me, honestly, I'm at the point now where it doesn't matter how much you change the rosters. If you don't change the way the show is presented, if you don't do a better job with your creative, with storylines, with character direction, it doesn't matter how much you change the brands. Nothing's going to change. You can make the most all-star roster possible. You can make the best roster ever. You can have all these stars in all these different divisions, and then you can give us all these exciting matchups, right? But if you don't do a better job of presenting them on the show, how the hell are we going to give a shit about them? Why are we going to be invested? You look at Raw and SmackDown, there's only a handful of names that I can truly say that I'm invested in, and if you guys listen to this podcast on a weekly basis, you guys know which superstars I care about and which superstars I don't care about. And many of the big reason for many of those superstars I don't care about is because WWE doesn't book them correctly. If WWE booked superstars correctly, I would be invested in so many other superstars. But I don't have a reason to care because I know WWE doesn't give a shit about them. And that was a perfect thing with SmackDown tonight. If you are depending on when you guys are watching this, right? The WWE draft, the draft doesn't really go into effect for another couple of weeks till after Crown Jewel, right? Which, of course, we will do a review here on the channel like we do for basically every single pay-per-view. But I'm not really worried about the draft too much because that's still not for another 2 weeks. The draft, the draft results don't take effect for another 2 weeks, right? But you look at Raw and SmackDown, basically what you should be doing, right, in these final weeks before the draft, goes into effect, you should be not only building for Crown Jewel, but you should also be starting to position some of these superstars so when the draft results do go take place after Crown Jewel, that these superstars will already be semi-established and ready to go, and you have a path ready for them whenever whatever show they are. So you should be, building people up while also building up the Crown Jewel so that, we have a reason to care for these superstars, especially these superstars that are going to be going on, new brands, right? Because some superstars are going to be flipped from SmackDown to Raw and vice versa. So a lot of superstars are actually going to be staying on the same show that they were before, right? So, the way SmackDown was run tonight, especially when it comes to the King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown tournament, right? It's just mind-boggling. It truly is mind-boggling because WWE should be using these tournaments to establish new names, especially with the draft just taking place. This is the perfect time to build up new stars because then, a lot of people look at the draft as like a fresh start. No matter if they're staying on the brand they were before or going to a new brand. You know, it's kind of like a fresh start. You're in front of a different audience. You may be performing on a different night, or you may have, new competition. So a lot of people look at the draft as a fresh start to, start over and give them a chance, build a path so that they can find success on whatever brand they're on. No matter if you're in the tag team division, the women's division, the mid card, or the main event. The thing about it is, it seems like with what WWE's doing now, even when the draft results take place in a couple weeks, right? When the draft results, take effect and we see all these superstars move to different shows, it feels like that it's just going to be the same old, same old. Nothing's going to change. It's going to be the same old uncreative WWE, the same bad booking decisions that have plagued this company for the last half decade. So why should I give a crap about the draft if you do not care about the superstars that are in the draft? Someone explain that to me. There's no reason for it. You can't even book superstars in a King of the Ring and Queen's Crown tournament correctly. And here's the thing. Tournaments in WWE are supposed to be the easiest things to book. And you're telling me you can't book a simple tournament correctly? Why should I care? Why should I care? I came out of SmackDown, this last SmackDown show, just like, really, they still don't get it. They don't get it. And they think by switching up the rosters, that's going to bring the ratings up, and make everything better. When it doesn't, because it's the same people making the same bimbo-ted mistakes. All it is now is that you have different superstars to mess them now. Especially the NXT ones that were just called up recently. It really, I really sit there and think, I'm just like, huh? This is what we're doing? This is truly what we're doing here. So, let's get into it, right? Let's get into it. I'm going to, before we get into the specific results of the show, I really want to talk about the Queen's Crown tournament. That's what I want to talk about. All right. There was a report today from Bleacher Report, and I saw this before I started recording. I was like, all right, I'm going to mention this in my little opening rant. But the report says, significant frustration from talent about booking of women's division. And for those of you guys who've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, you guys know the biggest thing that I, focus on is the women's division, because that's the thing I'm most invested into, right? I love, the women superstars in WWE, and I want to see them succeed. I want to see them booked correctly. And WWE fails to ever book them correctly. So the Bleacher Report article states, and I quote, when WWE announced the Queen's Crown tournament, it appeared the company would be giving significant time to non-title women's division matches. If Friday's SmackDown was any indication, that doesn't appear to be the case. Opening round matches between Toni Storm and Zelina Vega and Liv Morgan Carmella lasted less than 4 minutes combined. I want you guys to listen to this part right here. And both matches were shorter than Roman Reigns' entrance for his promo segment. Think about that, guys, for just a second. Roman Reigns' entrance, not his promo, his entrance was longer than both of the women's matches in the first round of the Queen's Crown tournament. So someone's entrance to the ring was longer than the matches for a tournament. Why should anybody give a shit? Why should anybody care? This is what I'm talking about. I complain about this all the time, and I've mentioned this in the past. We know that Roman Reigns is the biggest star in the company right now. The guy is, been the best thing now for over a year. This head of the table gimmick, he has found pure gold with it. And it's great to see him find something to succeed with, right? I'd read something earlier today where it says that Roman Reigns, his merch sales are doing almost at a John Cena level, which is crazy. Because John Cena at his peak, when he was the top babyface in the company, his merch sales were absolutely outrageous. So the read that, Reigns is doing merch sales near that level is insane to me. And remember, Reigns is a heel. He's not even a babyface. So the fact that fans, really love Roman's new character that much, and it's being showcased in his merch sales, is impressive. But I've said this before. I've complained that SmackDown focuses too much on Roman Reigns. way too much. When Roman Reigns starts SmackDown for a month in a row, when his entrance takes 4 to 5 minutes for no reason, when he has multiple segments during a show that take up close to 40 minutes of a 2-hour SmackDown broadcast, that stuff does not make sense. That stuff should not be happening. Even though Roman is the star and he should be, the main focal point, of course, because he is the face of that brand and that show, there's other things to make up that show. One man cannot carry a brand. One name cannot carry a company. It's that simple. As great as Roman is, he's not enough to carry that show. You have a women's division. You have a tag team division. You have a mid-card division. You have side feuds. Right? Why is Roman Reigns getting all the spotlight? Why is all the creativity going just into Roman Reigns and what he does on television every single week? That doesn't make sense, and it shouldn't be the case. This is what I'm talking about. Why is Roman's entrance longer than the Queen's Crown Tournament exhibition matches or round 1 matches? Why is that the case? A tournament is where you're supposed to let superstars go at it for 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes and let them show you what they got. Let those women go out and leave it all on the line. Let them leave it all on the line. So that when they come out of these matches, win or lose, we feel better for them. Example, Baron Corbin in the King of the Ring a couple years ago, right? Even though Baron Corbin as King of the Ring was annoying and he didn't do anything, he was the MVP of that tournament. They gave him his matches, at least close to 15, 20 minutes every single round, and he was impressive, putting on bangers. And people are like, dang, Baron Corbin is actually way better than I thought he was. That's what a tournament is supposed to do. It's supposed to build up names that you otherwise wouldn't really pay attention to. It's supposed, we're supposed to see them shine in ways we haven't got to see them shine before. But basically, with the matches you did for the first round of the Queen's Crown Tournament, it basically made it feel like it was a normal SmackDown and there was no tournament taking place to begin with. Because, these matches we've seen before. We've seen Liv Morgan versus Carmella how many times on SmackDown now during the summer? Close to probably 5, 6, 7 times at least? Toni Storm, right? Toni Storm, we barely get to see her wrestle, but we've seen her face Zelina Vega. We've seen that match before. So, first off, the only difference here is that it's the winner gets to advance in the Queen's Crown Tournament. That's it. But this is supposed to be a big deal because the winner of this tournament is supposed to be, elevated and viewed more as a top star in the women's division going forward. But you're not treating it like that. Like what? Both of these matches are less than 4 minutes? Seriously? Why are we going to give a crap at all? Now you're basically telling us that the tournament doesn't matter, right? And whoever wins, we shouldn't give a crap about it. No one's going to care who wins this tournament if you're giving them 4-minute matches on SmackDown and Raw. No one's going to care. Because people are going to be like, oh, like what? Like they wrestled for 4 minutes. You didn't even give me a chance to sink my teeth into the story and the match and all these other things. People don't understand that the way the WWE's doing this, they just say, oh, yeah, it's a tournament, it's whatever. The thing is, the way WWE's going about this whole tournament thing is completely ass backwards. It's ass backwards. And it makes 0 sense. 0 sense. You have Toni Storm, Zelina Vega, Liv Morgan, Carmella. All talented names. All talented names, right? Toni Storm, she has barely been used correctly since she got called up from NXT, right? She's only had, 3 or 4 matches on SmackDown? And instead of building her up, you have her lose to Zelina Vega, who's won only, 1 match? I think this is her second match now. She's only won, 2 matches since she came back out of, the 20 she's had? Why? What's the logic behind that? This is the perfect tournament for someone like Toni Storm. Perfect because she's still getting introduced to the audience. People still don't know who she is. So by having her in this tournament and having her do well and make it far and maybe even win the thing, it's going to give superstars a reason to care for her more. It's going to make her into a bigger star. But when you have her lose in less than 4 minutes to Zelina Vega, of all people, who has never been booked correctly as a single star, it's like they're telling you, we don't care about Toni Storm, so you shouldn't either. It's honestly disgraceful, and it's not right. It's not right. Toni Storm is way too talented to be losing to Zelina Vega, of all people. And it's already bad enough that you weren't even using her on WWE TV before this tournament. So now you're just giving us more reason not to give a shit about Toni Storm. And that's not right. And does anybody honestly believe Zelina Vega is going to win the tournament after not being used correctly on WWE TV all year? Now all of a sudden they want to book Zelina Vega like a winner these last couple weeks? I don't. It doesn't make sense to me. What, Zelina Vega as Queen of the Ring. And I like Zelina Vega. I actually do. She's one of my favorite women in that division. But the thing is, she's never been booked correctly. So it doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense. Also, you look on the other side. Liv Morgan, Carmella. This is a feud we've been seeing on WWE TV all summer, and it hasn't been a good feud at all. It's been one of those side feuds that you can basically say like, I don't really care about it too much. Doesn't really matter to me. I'm just like, here you have Liv Morgan and Carmella, who are actually two really talented performers. Why don't you actually give us a match for the first time between them? You put this match on, I believe it was on the pre-show of the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. You've done this match multiple times. And, you can't let these two go at it. I think Liv Morgan is one of the most underrated performers in the women's division. And then Carmella, we know Carmella can go. She's a former SmackDown Women's Champion. She's actually decent. But when you do the crap that you did last night or on SmackDown, right, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make any sense. You have Liv Morgan defeated by Carmella in less than 4 minutes. Why does Carmella need to win Queen of the Ring? We know who Carmella is. We know she's not one of the biggest stars in the company, but she is at least established and a solid name to have in that women's division. So all of a sudden, you have Liv Morgan lose to Carmella. What does that do for Liv? I've said this how many times. Liv, in my opinion, it could be a future women's champion if booked correctly. But they refuse to book her, even without Ruby Riott there with her anymore. They refuse to lose Liv, when she's already easily one of the most likable babyfaces you have on that roster. And it would be so easy to have her go on this underdog path through the Queen's Crown up to the end. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. The booking of how this tournament has been done is absolutely mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. It's like there's almost like no point of actually doing the tournament if this is what you're gonna do. The women in WWE have absolutely every reason to be frustrated. Going back to the article, let me see. Fightful Select reports that there has been significant frustration from talent and staff regarding a lack of care given to the women's division in WWE. Have I not been saying this since WrestleMania? Let's be serious here. This has been a problem all year for WWE. Ever since Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair main evented WrestleMania, there's basically been no care for the women's division since that. If you look at the Raw women's division, the division's been garbage. It's just been Charlotte Flair, Charlotte Flair. They've done nothing with the women's division over there. Asuka's injured. Rhea Ripley doesn't look anywhere close to Rhea Ripley back out in NXT. You gave Nikki ASH the Raw Women's Championship and the Money in the Bank just to lose it back to the same person she cashed in on in Charlotte. And you look at that Raw Women's division, there's absolutely nobody that's in line and nobody that makes sense that you can really say they can take the title off of Charlotte Flair. There's nobody built up because you've had Charlotte bury everybody over on Monday Night Raw. And you've done a terrible job of building up contenders and making us care about anybody else in that division. And then you look at SmackDown with Sasha Banks. She's been gone most of the summer, right? And then she had to take even more time off after what happened, or not time off, but she wasn't used, after she was pulled from SummerSlam. And there's really nobody else in the SmackDown Women's division that matters. Bayley's injured. I just said Sasha was out for a good amount of the summer. She's just getting back into form now, right? Becky wasn't there. And even though and if we're being honest, Becky's heel turn hasn't been good either. I have not enjoyed Becky Lynch's heel turn at all. It's been pretty bad if you ask me. And outside of Bianca Belair, there's been nobody else that matters. Selena Vega doesn't matter. Toni Storm doesn't matter. Carmella doesn't matter. Liv Morgan, who I've been, rooting for all year, she doesn't matter. Right? You just broke up Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox for no reason. So you look at the women's division, this has been an all-year thing. All year. And you've done nothing to try to improve the situation. You've done nothing to try to improve the problem. And it makes no sense. No sense. And now you think a tournament's going to fix anything? Well, no. The tournament's not fixing anything because you're putting no care into the tournament. The article goes on to say, while main event feuds in the division are regularly given time, the lower and mid card of the division are a mess. The women's tag team titles have not felt significant since their introduction, thanks in large part to a lack of commitment to tag teams in the division and the poor booking of tag champions. Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart and Natalya Tamina were both split up at the WWE draft, leaving Rhea and Nikki ASH as the only actual tag team remaining in the division. Haven't I been saying that? Look, the outside of your main event feuds, which aren't even that good, because like I just said, Charlotte has nobody in line to face her for the Raw Women's Championship right now. Right? Sasha, Becky, and Bianca's the only highlight going on in the women's division on SmackDown. And that's going to end any day now because Sasha's going to stay on SmackDown while Becky and Bianca are both being shipped to Raw once the draft results take place. Okay, and then we're getting the triple threat at Crown Jewel, which will probably put an end to that feud. Even though I believe Becky and Bianca will probably continue on Raw. But you guys get my point. There's really nothing to be hyped about in the women's division. I like Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart, but you split them up before they can even get a chance at the women's tag team titles. They beat the former tag champions, Natalya and Tamina, 3 times on SmackDown, never got a tag team championship opportunity, right? Despite beating the champions, and then you split them up in the draft. So now, effectively, they're not a tag team no more, since they're on opposite brands. That doesn't make any sense. Natalya and Tamina, you split them up. Even though I didn't care about them as a tag team, at least they were a tag team in the women's division. At least they were a tag team. All right? And now, Rhea and Nikki ASH, they're together still on Raw, but they have nobody to face. Nobody to face. You've broken up the only 2 teams that could actually give them competition in the division. You have no other tag teams. So now we know what WWE's going to do. Once the draft is finished, right? Or once the draft results are effective, you're going to form a bunch of new random tag teams just to give Nikki and Rhea Ripley competition in the tag division. This is what we're talking about. You give no care at all to the women's division. You break teams up as quick as you form them together. You split them up like it's nothing. You book if they're not in a championship feud, if they're not contending for the Raw or SmackDown Women's Championships, they don't matter. Like why are we supposed to care about any of these names? Why? The article said it perfectly. The women's tag team champions have not felt important since Sasha and Bayley held them. Sasha and Bayley, when they held them and they went on all 3 shows, right? That was the best of the tag titles ever looked. And then you dropped them to Shayna and Nia, and they haven't meant shit since. There hasn't been one team outside of Sasha and Bayley that have made those tag titles look good. And it's a shame. It's a shame. This is what we're talking about. It's sad because it should not be that difficult to book the women's division. It shouldn't. You have the talent there. All you have to do is make it competitive. Give us interesting storylines. Build up contenders for the titles. It's not that hard. But WWE, it's like they're going backwards. It's like we're slowly going back to the Divas era again. Every time the women's division takes a step forward, no matter if it main events a pay-per-view or main event WrestleMania, every time the women's division takes a giant step, it goes back 2 or 3. Because it's like WWE forgets about them and just doesn't care. This is stuff. And I'm glad that the talent are actually starting to speak up. Because they should. They shouldn't be treated like this at all. If I was a female superstar, and I was being treated like that, I would be frustrated and I would voice out. I would let people know that I am not happy. So I'm happy that these superstars are actually coming out and saying we're frustrated with our booking. Because the women's division, you say that you want it equal to the men, but it's nowhere close. It's nowhere close. The male divisions are booked so much better than the women's divisions. And every once in a while, the women's divisions get a little bit closer. But no. But then they take 2 steps back and they go right back down to here. There's very, 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 very few women in WWE that are actually on the levels of some of the male talent. And I can count them on my finger. You have the 4 horsewomen, Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, and Bayley, right? Asuka I would put up there as well. Ronda Rousey. And Bianca Belair. I'll give Bianca credit. Bianca's done a much better job of positioning herself as one of the bigger stars in WWE's women's division. Even though the way Bianca is presented sometimes pisses me off, but I would be lying to you guys if I didn't sit here and say that Bianca wasn't a big name star in the women's division. I would be lying to you guys, and that's not what I like to do. That's it. I can only think of 7 women. 7. And NXT has a bunch of talent in their women's division. But if you put most of that talent up on the main roster, they wouldn't be used at all. The Ember Moon, we've seen that experiment already, right? Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, Raquel Gonzalez, right? Who else am I missing? Dakota Kai. So many NXT women talent. You put them on the main roster, they wouldn't mean shit. They would all be just nutter names, more jobbers, people that don't matter. It's a shame that the women's division is in the state that it's in. It should not be that difficult to book the women's division. It really shouldn't. But the talent being frustrated, that's something that I've been saying on this podcast now for years. It should not be this difficult to book the women's division. You have this Queen's Crown tournament, which is actually supposed to help you establish more stars in the women's division, but you're doing not. You're not doing that at all. You're not helping anybody. I'll say this right now. It doesn't matter who wins this tournament. It doesn't matter at all. It's not going to make them a bigger star. It's not going to mean anything. When you look at who's left, right? You look at who's left. Zelina Vega will face Carmella next week, which I don't know why anybody would care for that match. First of all, you have 2 heels. Like you had Toni Storm and Liv Morgan, both baby faces, lose in the first round. So now next week we're getting heel Zelina and heel Carmella. Why should who are people going to root for in that match? Why is anybody going to give a crap when both have not been booked correctly? If I had to be honest, probably Carmella will end up winning that match, right? Because Carmella's had a much more successful career to this point, unless they're really serious in building up Zelina Vega. But on the other side of the bracket, you have Doudrop and Natalya. I don't know why Natalya's even in this tournament. Like why is she in that tournament? Like Natalya's already established in the women's division. Everybody knows who Natalya is. So I don't even know why they're wasting time. If I had to make a pick, I would pick Doudrop, right? And I guess WWE's made a little bit of an effort to build up Doudrop, but not much. you know? And then you have Dana Brooke and Shayna Baszler, which they just gave you that match on Monday Night Raw this past week. We just saw this match last week. Dana Brooke and Shayna Baszler. Shayna destroyed Dana in less than 2 minutes. So what's going to be different this time? What, Dana's going to survive 3 minutes instead of 2? You're wasting our time. You're wasting our time. So Dana Brooke and Shayna Baszler. Shayna, you can already, mark that up. Shayna Baszler. So in the next round, it's gonna end up being Shayna versus Doudrop, which they teased on Monday Night Raw when Doudrop came out to save Dana Brooke from Shayna Baszler injuring her arm. So that's probably going to be the semifinals. And then you have, of course, Carmella and Zelina Vega. Honestly, I don't care who wins this tournament. None of those names really made me think like, wow, maybe Shayna Baszler, but Shayna should already be established at this point. She should have already been established as one of the top names in the women's division. With the names I gave you earlier, those 7 names I gave you earlier, Shayna should already be the 8th name there. But they've done nothing to build up Shayna Baszler. Nothing. It's just now that they want to push her a little bit. And the thing is, I don't even trust that Shayna's going to be pushed to the moon where she is. After the draft, Shayna will be on SmackDown with Sasha and Charlotte, which could give us some exciting matches and feuds. But I don't trust this company at all. I don't trust this company with anybody outside of Roman Reigns. So, I don't know. So you look at these 4 names that are left, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything to me. The Queen's Crown tournament, should have been for somebody like a Liv Morgan or a Toni Storm to win. That's what this tournament should have been. It should have established them as one of the future top stars of the women's division. But in 1 week, in technically 8 minutes, when you combine the times of both of the first round matches of the tournament, you've already, buried whatever meaning that this tournament was supposed to have. And you've already given us no reason to care. So it doesn't matter who wins. It doesn't matter if it's Shayna or Dana or Doudrop or Natalya or Carmella or Zelina. It doesn't matter who wins. Doesn't matter. You've already ruined the point of the tournament, and it doesn't mean shit. Better luck next year. Maybe next year you'll actually give more time to your women's division. Maybe. But I wouldn't give them hope because, you can't trust this company for anything. But, it doesn't make any sense. Any sense whatsoever. So I feel bad for the women's division. I feel bad for the talented women in there and how they're just being wasted and not used. I hate it for them because there's so many talented women in there that should be booked way better than they are now. But sadly, here we are. So I'm not surprised at all because this is stuff I've been saying now for years. So, yeah, basically, I know I just spent like a good 30 minutes on the women's division, but are you guys surprised? Are you guys really surprised? But we're going to go through SmackDown now, right? I'm going to try to do this kind of quickly, but you guys know me. But anyway, I want to talk about the contract signing, which opened the show between Sasha Banks, Becky, and Bianca Belair for their triple threat match at Crown Jewel. Like I said earlier, we do know that Bianca and Becky will be heading to Monday Night Raw after Crown Jewel when the draft results become effective. Sasha will be staying on SmackDown for a 3rd consecutive draft, right? And you can already see where this is most likely going. We don't know what's going to happen with the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. I would guess that most likely they're going to have Charlotte and Becky switch the titles the same way the New Day and the Street Profits did last year when both were holding tag championships that belonged on the opposite show. That's what most likely think's going to happen. I don't think they're going to, have Becky 2 belts or do that again, right? I would be shocked if they went down that direction. I think they're going to have Becky and Charlotte switch belts. So Becky can, it's going to be annoying because Becky's going to be like, oh, I got the title that I never lost. But then she'll say the same thing about the SmackDown Women's Championship. And, vice versa with Charlotte. most likely, Sasha's probably going to start feuding with Charlotte. I did hear rumors that, WWE is probably most likely going to turn Sasha babyface, and you can kind of see that they kind of did that tonight, and we'll talk about that with Sasha, with the promo here in just a sec. But you can see it looks like Sasha's already starting to turn babyface again, which makes sense. As great as Sasha is as a heel, I love Sasha as a babyface. Plus, you're not turning Shawn into a babyface, and there's really nobody else to fill that top babyface role in the women's division. Because you have Charlotte as a heel, Shayna Baszler's a heel, right? And like I said, everybody else doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. As much as I love Liv Morgan, Liv's going to Raw, but as much as I love Naomi, you haven't done anything to show me that Naomi's going to be a priority. Maybe Asuka when Asuka comes back, but Asuka's out with injury right now. So it only makes sense that Sasha gets turned back into a babyface. You really don't have any other choice but to make Sasha the top babyface in the women's division on SmackDown. So, it's Sasha turning babyface, and then of course on Raw, Becky and Bianca will probably continue the feud over the Raw Women's Championship. But before we can get to that, we have a triple threat match at Crown Jewel, and they had a contract signing. Look, I'm really excited for this match. I'm wicked excited for the match at Crown Jewel. I think it has a chance to be one of the best triple threat matches of the year. And we've actually seen, I'll give WWE credit, we've actually seen a lot of good triple threat matches in WWE this year. We've had, of course, the WrestleMania main event with Roman, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. We've had, Drew McIntyre versus, what was it? We had Drew McIntyre versus Braun Strowman versus who was the other guy in there? Bobby Lashley. I think it was at WrestleMania Backlash for the WWE Championship. We also had Charlotte, Nikki ASH, and Rhea Ripley. As much as I hated that feud and seeing Charlotte win, I'm not gonna sit here and say the match was bad. The match was actually pretty damn good. You also had Rhea Ripley, Asuka, and Charlotte. They had a pretty good triple threat. So WWE's had a lot of good triple threats this year. I think Sasha, Becky, and Bianca has a chance to top it. I don't know. It's going to depend on how much time they get at Crown Jewel. Plus, I don't know what the rules is, because I think it was just, women were not even allowed to wrestle in Saudi Arabia, a couple years ago. We've seen, I think we had, Bayley versus Naomi, and I think we had Lacey Evans and Natalya at Saudi Arabia. So it'll be interesting to see, will Becky, Sasha, and Bianca be required to wear long sleeve clothing or something like that? And it'll be interesting how much time they get. But if they get the time and the freedom to do what they want in the ring, like they would here, probably in America, here in the States on a normal pay-per-view, right? I feel like it has the chance to be one of the best triple threat matches of the year. And it's really, like I said, it's the only decent thing on WWE TV for the women's division right now. So I'm gonna play the promo segment for you guys.
Where everyone can chef, but the thing they'll remember forever, watching.
So the way they had it is, it was kind of an interesting setup. They really, neither woman, none of them signed the contract, right? Sasha was on the announce table. Bianca was the only one in the ring. And then Becky had her own table set up in the middle of the stage, halfway down the entrance ramp, which I thought was weird. I was like, no one's delivering the contract to Becky. No one's going to be your butler, And you guys have already heard me. I've not liked Becky Lynch as a heel, I don't like it. It's forced. It's forced as hell. And it hasn't been good. The only thing really saving Becky right now is her immense popularity. But the thing about it is, as popular as she is, she has not been a good heel at all. Everything she says is forced. She's cringe on commentary to the point where I want to mute the TV because it takes away from what's happening in the ring. And it just doesn't feel organic. It was an unnecessary heel turn, if you ask me. Plus, the fact that we never see Becky in the ring anyway, outside of pay-per-views, is another thing. So, those things, all those things combined, have really, pissed me off when it comes to Becky Lynch and her heel turn. So you have Becky at the middle of the entrance ramp here, and I'll play the promo for you guys.
Out to San Jose! The man has come around to San Jose! Ah, they love me, who wouldn't?
And that line is so cringy, man. The man comes around like, it's cringy like Shane McMahon or Mick Foley, panning to the crowd depending on what city they're in. I hate that line.
Decided I was gonna sit here so I could get a good look at everything. Esther, you must be feeling pretty bad about yourself on a hot losing streak. Not a good look going into a big title match at Crown Jewel. Knowing you, Sasha Banks, you disco ball looking fool.
Disco ball looking fool. Hey, Cisa, let's be serious. Sasha's the sexiest disco ball around town these days.
Attack me from behind and no, thank you for saving SummerSlam when you couldn't make it or get the job done. Well, I'll tell you now, there will be payback.
Now, here's the thing. That line pisses me off, right? Becky's out here talking about, there will be, not there will be payback. The one that, sure, Becky returning and taking Sasha's place at SummerSlam made the most sense because Becky's, in terms of popularity, she's the only one with the star power to replace a Sasha Banks, even though I think we would all admit that Sasha is the better wrestler by far. Sasha's the best female wrestler in the world, and it's not even close. Anyway, but the thing about it is, what did Becky do? Becky and Bianca didn't put on any instant classic at SummerSlam. It's been criticized as probably the worst booking decision all year, with having Becky defeat Bianca in 26 seconds. I complain about it. Everybody in the community has complained about it. So what, Becky? What job did you get done? You didn't save SummerSlam at all. You coming back at SummerSlam actually made the show worse. So what sense does that actually make? It makes zero sense if you ask me. So I don't know what the hell Becky's saying here. All right, it makes no sense if you ask me. All right. Plus, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Sasha versus Bianca at WrestleMania was way better than Becky's main event at WrestleMania when it was her and Ronda Rousey and Charlotte. Plus, Sasha and Bianca was better than Becky and Bianca at Extreme Rules. So, Becky, what are you bragging about? The only thing you got to brag about is that you have Vince in your pocket and you're able to become the SmackDown Women's Champion again, even though you didn't deserve it. And so far, you as a heel has been a failure. So what are you bragging about here, Becky? Everyone knows that Sasha, or anybody with a brain knows that Sasha is way better than you will ever be. It's not even up for conversation.
Oh, Becky, did you miss me? Because I know all these people did.
See, solid line from Sasha. Solid line, right? You can see clearly they're turning Sasha babyface slowly, right? They're not going to, fully turn her face just like that because it would be an insult to Sasha and it would be an insult to anybody like me who knows this business just to have her be babyface when she clearly was a heel when she was challenging Bianca before SummerSlam. So, it makes sense. Makes sense here. But you can see with the way Sasha's talking about how the fans missed her, right? Clearly, you can see they're slowly turning Sasha back to a babyface again. Plus, I don't know if you guys knew this, they announced for Raw tomorrow night that Sasha and Bianca will teaming up to go against Charlotte and Becky Lynch. And clearly Charlotte and Becky are the heels. Bianca's a babyface, and Sasha's slowly being turned into a babyface again. So that should be another sign that, WWE is turning Sasha back into a face.
Did you miss me? Now, there will be payback. Oh, Becky, did you miss me? Because I know all these people did. Or are you just jealous?
That's a...
I
love that pop.
Because I know all these people did. Or are you just jealous that my spotlight is bigger than the both of you combined? Jealous that my spotlight is bigger? Or are you
you just jealous that my spotlight is bigger than the both of you combined? I mean, that's why I'm the conversation, the blueprint, the boss, the standard.
Great stuff from Sasha here. I tweeted this out. That's gonna go down as one of the best promo lines of the year. Sasha with another one-liner to add to her collection, right? Like Sasha Banks, my name is greater than your title, right? Like I love this line. My spotlight is bigger than both of yours combined, which makes sense. Which is actually true. You look at Sasha's popularity, right? Her popularity is bigger than WWE. Well, what she's doing now with The Mandalorian, and, you've heard all the rumors of her already filming for The Mandalorian Season 3, returning as Costa Reeves, and all this other cool stuff that she's been doing, right? Clearly, Sasha's popularity, if Sasha doesn't show up for 1 week, people go crazy. She trends on Twitter at random times of the day. You go on Twitter and you'll see, we want Sasha randomly, right there. For just no big reason. It's that people love talking about her. So when she says that, sure, Becky Lynch is a big star. We know that. I'm not going to sit here and deny that, right? But Sasha is unquestionably a bigger star than Becky. I feel like that's easy to say. Easy to say. Sasha is a far bigger star than Becky is these days. Far bigger star. And Bianca's just getting started, of course. Right, Bianca's paving her own legacy. I'll give Bianca credit because she has been better and much more enjoyable on TV these days. Even though sometimes she still pisses me off, but still, Bianca's popularity is nowhere near a Becky or a Sasha, of course. But still, Bianca is pretty popular in her own right. But maybe one day Bianca could get to a Sasha or a Becky level. But it makes sense what Sasha's saying here. Bianca's popularity is nowhere close to Sasha's level right now. And Becky, no matter how big a star she is, her popularity is not on Sasha's level right now. So what Sasha's saying here makes a ton of sense. This was a really good promo line by Sasha. But, this was the one that easily stuck out the most to me coming out of this segment. No. You guys notice Sasha's style has changed too. She has this, I don't know how the 100% describe it, but Sasha has really changed her style a lot, this year, ever since coming back after WrestleMania. Her outfits, even her attire in the ring, it's different. I do miss some of her classic attires, but still, man, I'm loving this new Sasha Banks stuff, man. Always the drippiest.
The blueprint, or are you just jealous that my spotlight is bigger than the both of you combined? I mean, that's why I'm the conversation, the blueprint, the boss, the standard.
No. The only conversation that we should be having is about you signing this contract right here. I mean, you call yourself the boss. Well, all you keep doing is returning to cheap shot me. And you, Becky, you want to bring up SummerSlam?
Sure do.
Okay, well, let's be real. The only thing that you did at SummerSlam was ride off the momentum of my work to get an opportunity. See, you wasn't prepared. You was just lucky.
Catch you in 26 seconds.
Oh, no, because every big moment this year had my name in it. I'm the common denominator to all of this. You know it.
That was a cool line. I'm the common denominator from all this. Yes, but WrestleMania doesn't happen without Sasha Banks being the best female wrestler in the world. Sure, I'll give Bianca credit for the Royal Rumble. That was a pretty cool moment, even though they messed up on the build to WrestleMania with Sasha and Bianca. Still, but, and Bianca had some good matches with Bayley, of course. But SummerSlam, let's be serious here, SummerSlam was the worst moment for the women's division all year, when you lost in 26 seconds. So I don't know, even though I like the line, I don't know, when you analyze it in its context, it's just like, because yes, every big moment did have your name on it, but SummerSlam kind of devalued and, brought down a lot of the success that you had up to that point. So, I understand what Bianca's trying to say here, but you got to be careful here. Because especially when people bring up SummerSlam, your name is on that. And it wasn't good for you.
And you know it. The common denominator big.
Catch you in 26 seconds.
Prepared. You was just lucky.
Catch you in 20.
That you did at SummerSlam was ride off the momentum of my work to get an opportunity. See, you wasn't prepared. You was just lucky.
Here's the thing, Bianca, I'll be honest too. And even though I like this promo for the most part from Bianca, I'll say this. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. Because beyond when you say that you weren't prepared, you were just lucky, and still Becky still beat you. As much as I hate the booking decision, from a storyline perspective, she still beat you 26 seconds. You can't deny that. You got beat. 1, 2, 3 clean. So still, it doesn't matter. Lucky, prepared, you still lost. And that's what it says in the history books, no matter what.
Catch you in 26 seconds.
Oh, no, because every big moment this year had my name in it. I'm the common denominator to all of this. You know it, and you know it.
Because of me.
That's why the both of you keep coming for me. But, I'm in the ring now. And now? Y'all don't want to get in the ring? No. You want to come for me every week? Come get in the ring, because I'm ready now. Come on.
I like the intensity from Bianca. I like it. Even though she starts yelling at the top of her lungs and it did get a little bit cringy here, but for the most part, I'll give Bianca credit. It was a pretty good promo for the most part. You hear her yelling, come in the ring. Come on. And Bianca's struggling to throw that chair out the ring too.
Frustrated, says, hey, you want some, come get some.
Bianca's struggled.
You think you're tough for somebody I could beat in 26 seconds?
Becky Lynch ready to go.
And I understand Becky beat Bianca in 26 seconds storyline wise, but I'm tired of hearing it. Really, Becky brings it up every single time, and I understand she's trying to be a heel, but that doesn't make you that good. It's cringe. It's cringe because we all hated the booking decision. The booking decision should have never took place. And, when you bring it up all the time, over and over again, people are just like, can you say anything else but that? Seriously. She says on commentary. She says in promos. She says in interviews, right? I wouldn't be surprised if Becky had a shirt that came out and said 26 seconds Beck or something. Like, it's cringe. Stop mentioning the 26 seconds. We get it. It happened. Move on. You didn't beat her at Extreme Rules. Bianca, if it wasn't for Sasha returning, Bianca would have won. She was about to hit the KOD. So, stop mentioning it. Until you beat Bianca in straight up, something that's not 26 seconds, stop mentioning it. Because it gets annoying. The past is in the past. And it's not like it's going to happen again. So stop mentioning the 26 seconds every 5 seconds. Like, it's not making what you say any better. It just comes off as annoying. So, of course, Bianca, Sasha, and Becky start feuding. So, basically, what was really impressive here, Bianca got both Sasha and Becky up in the KOD position. Right? So it was like when John Cena lifted Edge and Big Show at WrestleMania 25. Bianca, picking up both women at the same time. Even though I believe Sasha and Becky are probably not that heavy anyway. But still, it was still super impressive. Right? It showcases Bianca's strength. So I like that. That was a really cool moment. Even though I kind of wanted them to save something like this for Crown Jewel. Right, save a big moment like this at the pay-per-view, but still, it's whatever. I'm willing to bet we'll probably see it again at the pay-per-view. And then this moment right here actually got me excited, for the match. Because I loved it. I loved the way the crowd reacted to Bianca holding both women up. I loved it. Super impressive. But at the end here, Sasha was able to roll out right before. But then Sasha ended up on the table. So then Bianca KOD'd Becky on the Sasha, who was on the announce table. And then you just see Sasha and Becky laying there with Bianca looking strong. So this was a good segment. It did its job. It really helped Bianca look strong here. And seeing her stand up to both Sasha and Becky, who have been attacking her a lot from behind as of late. So really like this here from Bianca. Really cool stuff.
What's this? What's this?
Look at the power of Belair. Are you kidding me?
No way!
Power of Belair. Are you kidding me?
I love it. It looks really cool.
And Sasha Banks. Oh! Belair with Becky still on her shoulders. And a cow game. Belair with Becky still on her shoulders. And a cow game through Sasha. Belair with Becky still on her shoulders. And a cow game through Sasha. Belair with Becky still on her shoulders. And a cow game through Sasha. Through the table.
What?
That's one way to sign the deal, right?
Damn!
Jewel emanating Bianca.
The mirror of Smack.
I love that visual of Sasha and of Sasha on the bottom and Becky on top. That thing's hilarious.
Damn table.
Bianca Belair stakes her.
I'll give Sasha and Becky credit here. They did a really good job of making Bianca look over here. Really good job. So enjoyable segment. You know, a little me nitpicking a little bit with Bianca's lines, but still pretty good segment to start the show. And I'm really hyped for the triple threat at Crown Jewel. Very, very exciting. Moving on. We're going to go through the rest of the show really quick. King of the Ring, Rey Mysterio versus Sami Zayn. And let me pull up the actual bracket for the men's. So on the men's side of the King of the Ring bracket, we already talked about the women's bracket, but the men's side, you had Rey Mysterio and Sami Zayn, which we're just about to talk about. We had Cesaro and Finn Balor. And then on Raw, you'll have Kofi Kingston and Jinder Mahal and Xavier Woods and Ricochet. Clearly, the people that should be the biggest in line to possibly win this thing are, Ricochet, Xavier Woods. At least with this bracket, there's like more people that I could see that should win it, right? Honestly, Rey Mysterio, he doesn't need it, right? Kofi Kingston, he doesn't really need it, but everybody else, you can really make a case of them winning it. Right, Sami Zayn, that he would be a great King of the Ring. With his cocky nature, that would be hilarious. Finn Balor, the Demon King already, that can make sense. Does Finn Balor necessarily need King of the Ring? Not really, but it would be interesting. Cesaro, you guys know how much I love Cesaro. He's never really been fully pushed as a single star and has fell off a lot, really, in the recent months. So Cesaro being King of the Ring, that could be good. And then you have Xavier Woods or Ricochet. Xavier's the fan favorite in many people's eyes. There's a lot of people that believe that Xavier Woods should ring King of the Ring, right? But you could make just as big a case for Ricochet. Ricochet, you guys know how much I love Ricochet, how he should be a main event talent at this point, but he's never truly been booked like a main event talent. So you can make the case for, about 5 or 6 people outside, but the women's division, there's only maybe 1 or 2 that make sense, and they've already fucked up on the women's side with their Queen's Crown tournament. At least with the King of the Ring for the men's side, at least it's a little more interesting, right? And we got 2 really good matches. We got 2 really good matches tonight on SmackDown when it came to the men's side. Rey Mysterio and Sami Zayn. You guys know I love both of these two, right? I think Sami Zayn is highly underrated in the ring because a lot of people just mainly focus on his goofy and his cocky character. But and you guys know Rey Mysterio, he's a legend. You guys know how great Rey Mysterio is. This was very, very back and forth. This was really enjoyable, if you ask me. Very fast paced. I loved at the point where Rey Mysterio went for a 619 and Sami reversed it into a Blue Thunder Bomb for a close 2 count. I would love to see Sami Zayn win one of these matches in this tournament with a Blue Thunder Bomb. That could be a legit finisher. I know the Huluva Kick is his normal finisher, but I would love to see him win a match with the Blue Thunder Bomb. I love that move. So before the match, I forgot to mention this. Dominic told Ray that he would need to stay in the back, and then Zayn told Dominic that he was better than his father, right? But about near the end here, we saw Zayn. He tried to unbuckle one of the turnbuckles, right? Dominic came out to fix it, right? But at this moment, Ray saw what Dominic was doing, and he told him to stop. But it's like Ray didn't realize that Dominic was actually trying to help him. Even the referee saw Dominic, putting the turnbuckle back on and let him, because he was like, that's the right thing to do. But in the chaos, Ray got distracted. Zayn pushed Ray into Dominic, and then Zayn was able to roll him up for the 3 count. And that was it. So Zayn advances. And then after the match, Zayn stood on the stage and actually put on the king. He put on the cape and the crowd, which was hilarious. And the crowd was booing. So like I said, if WWE wants to go with Sami Zayn as King of the Ring, I have no problem with it. I'm here for it. I am all here for it. But it'll be interesting. It seems like Ray and Dominic, they are having a little bit of miscommunication right now, some issues. We do know that both will be on Monday Night Raw after Crown Jewel when the draft results are effective. But it'll be interesting to see what the storyline does. I know that Ray said in the interview that he doesn't want to do a breakup storyline with Dominic. He wants nothing to do with that. He wants to stay with Dominic as long as possible. But we'll see, what happens when those two are on Raw. But a little dysfunction going on between Ray and Dominic right now. Sami Zayn advances. We had Finn Balor. We'll talk about this right now. We had Finn Balor versus Cesaro in the other qualifying match. This was another good one. And the big thing here also is Finn Balor. If you guys haven't been reading the reports, we know that Finn's going to be going to Raw after the draft. And I believe Cesaro's staying on SmackDown. But Finn's going to Monday Night Raw. And the reports have it that they want Finn Balor to actually be the new Drew McIntyre on Monday Night Raw. We know that Drew's going to go to SmackDown. And of course, Drew's probably going to be the top babyface on SmackDown. You already know we're most likely going to get Drew versus Roman for the Universal Championship at some point. I don't see Drew taking the WWE Championship from Big E. At some point, we're going to get Drew versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title here on SmackDown. But the fact that they want Finn to take Drew McIntyre's spot, is very interesting. Because Drew was the top babyface on Raw for the last, year and a half, nearly the last 2 years. So, for Finn to be put in that spot, that's where Finn should be. Finn should be a top babyface. But he's never really been booked as a top babyface on the main roster. He's always been, a babyface, and then, maybe more in the mid-card level, but he's never been the top babyface on the main roster. He was, the only time I can think of is when he first got drafted to Raw back in 2016, and he won the Universal Championship, but then he had to vacate the title. So, the fact that, the reports are saying that, Finn is going to be put in that role is very, very intriguing for me. And I really hope WWE lives up to that, because Finn is way too good to not be in that role. Right? But I thought I would mention that because it was in the dirt sheets this week. But Finn and Cesaro went at it. This was really good. You guys know how good Finn and Cesaro are. So you guys knew when these two went up against each other, it would be a great match. But we saw this was power versus speed and technique, right? Finn came out very aggressive, but Cesaro took control with a pop-up uppercut. But Finn was able to take advantage again with a sling blade, right? He went to the top rope for a double foot stomp. But Cesaro met him there. He did a beautiful looking superplex and then transitioned right into a crossface. But Balor fought up, sent him into the post. Then he did a somersault plancha, his OMG move, the somersault. Then he did a corner drop kick and then did the coup de grace for the win. So very clean win for Balor, but this was a very enjoyable match. These are the types of matches we're supposed to get in the King of the Ring tournament. I don't know what's so hard about that. I don't know what's so hard that WWE doesn't get. Why can't we get these types of matches with the women? This is the type of match that you're supposed to get at the King of the Ring tournament. Two people battling out. And then when they come out, it doesn't matter who wins or loses. We look at both superstars in a much higher regard. That's the whole point of these tournaments. That's the whole this is what the damn tournament's supposed to do. So, anyway, this was a really good match. Balor advances. So, next week it's going to be Balor and Sami Zayn. Right, I'll be honest with you. I kind of want to see Sami Zayn win this tournament, but would they have him beat Finn Balor? Remember when Finn first came back to SmackDown a couple months ago before SummerSlam, he actually beat Sami Zayn in his first match back. So Sami has a chance for payback now, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if the WWE would actually have Finn be defeated here. But like I said, tomorrow night on Raw, we have Kofi Kingston and Jinder Mahal. I would expect Kofi to win that match, but you never know. And then Xavier Woods and Ricochet. I think Xavier Woods and Ricochet has the chance to be the best match on tomorrow's card. I think Xavier Woods is highly underrated. I think Ricochet is highly underrated. I think those two could absolutely kill it if given the right amount of time. So... And like I said, we do know Xavier is one of the favorites, especially everybody on social media wants Xavier to win the match or win the tournament, right? And there was a video of Xavier absolutely hyped when he found out he was going to be facing Ricochet in the tournament. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. I would say Xavier Woods, I would give him the slight edge, but I would not be surprised if Ricochet won. Plus, if Kofi and Xavier both win their matches, they would face off in the semifinals, which would be interesting. New Day versus New Day. So that would be interesting to see, how that would go, right? Kofi and Xavier Woods. I don't think we've ever seen those two face off one-on-one. So that would be super interesting. All right, but we'll see what happens. But that's what we have in store. So at least here, I'm actually intrigued with what we have with the men's King of the Ring side. Sadly, with the women's side, I have absolutely no interest, especially with what they did on Friday. So we already talked about what happened with the women's side with the Queen's Crown tournament, right? We know that Carmella defeated Liv Morgan in less than 4 minutes, and the same thing can be said for Zelina Vega and Toni Storm. So Zelina and Carmella will face off next week in the semifinal. I honestly don't know who wins. I would just, I guess Carmella. I would give Carmella the slight edge unless WWE is serious about pushing Zelina Vega. But we'll see. We'll see. But either way, I don't really care. Anyway, one thing that I do care about, right, is Edge challenging Seth Rollins to a Hell in a Cell match. So Seth came out and he cut a promo. You guys remember, they did a really, and I'll play the clip for you guys in a sec. But Seth did a beautiful segment last week where he actually invaded Edge's house, right? And he, ate apples, sat in his living room, all this other stuff. Really, really good stuff from Seth. I love home invasion angles. Like, my favorite one is probably the Triple H and Randy Orton one from 2009. I love home invasion angles. So this feud's been spectacular, if you ask me. Spectacular. I love this feud. I love how every week they take a different angle with Edge and Seth. One week Edge's getting injured. Another week Seth's invading his house. Seth's addiction when wanting to be better than Edge. I love the twists and turns that this story has had. So it was going to be interesting. What happens next, right? We knew that there was going to be a third match between Edge and Seth. Something to end this once and for all. But what would it be? What would it be? And we got our answer Friday night in the correct format. So Seth came out, and calling Edge out. And I'm going to play the clip for you guys.
So Edge, come on out here and answer my challenge.
And I'll say this. Look, Seth, some weeks he dresses well, some weeks he doesn't, right? The wacky outfits. But I'll just say this. What he was wearing on Friday absolutely burns my eyes. Because he's wearing gray, black, and white. But the jacket he's wearing, the suit he's wearing, it's stripes. And then The shirt he's wearing, it's black and white, with more of a pattern effect. And I'm just like, but like those two things just don't go together. It's just it hurts your eyes, if we're being honest. It hurts your eyes. So look, Seth, I'm gonna be honest, man. L outfit. Like, I like the colors, it's just that the patterns are just, they hurt the eyes a lot. You know? So I'm just like, eh. You guys know I have to give my weekly Seth Rollins outfit critiques.
Come on, Edge. Come on. Don't keep the people waiting. Come on. We don't even have to do this tonight, man. Oh, yeah. I know what happened to that guy. I ended him with one stomp at Madison Square Garden. And if you're not going to show up here tonight and answer my challenge, Edge, then I'm going to take that as an admission. An admission from you that I am not Edge Light, and that I am better than you in every conceivable, possible way. No. Hey, I understand you guys are disappointed. I am disappointed too. This is not how I thought this was gonna go. But this isn't about me, Edge. You're not just disappointing me. You're disappointing all of your fans, man. You're disappointing all of your fans, and more importantly, you're disappointing your family.
What? Is Edge here? Do we know what?
And this is where, of course, Seth goes over the line, right? I like, Seth's promo talking about how he's not Edge Light, talking about how he wants Edge to admit that he is better than him in every single way. Like I said, the story of this feud has progressed very, very smoothly. This has gone from, remember, originally this was about both men wanting to be Universal Champion. And Seth seeing Edge in his way, and vice versa, right? Both men seeing each other let me rephrase that. Both men seeing each other in each other's way, if that makes sense, on their path to become Universal Champion. That's what this was first about. Now it's become very personal between these two, right? Everything Edge has said about Seth, just wanted to be him 2.0. And Seth taking that as disrespectful, like, I'm not you. I am better than you in every way possible. And, Seth's addiction and obsession with wanting to prove that to Edge. And then Seth taking it further by bringing his family into this, invading Edge's home, right? Talking about how he's a disappointment to his family, and how, if Seth ever was able to get his hands on Edge again, he would make home that he would stay at home with his family permanently and never be able to get back into the ring. Love it. The story has progressed so well. And this is the way big time feuds should be. This is the way it should be.
Is he speaking to a wall right now?
It's embarrassing, but it's true. I mean, I cannot imagine what it's like for your little girls to have to know that their dad.
And everyone knows how easy it is when you bring up the family in wrestling. That's an easy way to get someone angry and get someone's attention.
No longer an inspiration. Jeez.
And I love Pat McAfee on commentary. Just like, jeez, man. I love Pat McAfee's side commentary.
Their little hearts into tiny pieces. He's such.
And then a limo pulls up to the arena, right? Or an Escalade, and of course, it's Edge.
Edge in an Escalade. Edge is here.
And then comes right at the ring.
Seth Rollins demanded an answer. Edge did show up. Edge is marching his way through the SAP Center here in San Jose.
Trying to get to Seth ASAP. If you hear what I'm saying.
And here comes the Rated R Superstar. The man who Seth Rollins stomped into the back of his neck and tried to end his career.
So Edge went for a chair. And then, or not Edge. Seth went for a chair, but then Edge got the jump on him and speared Seth, and then he started beating the crap out of Seth. He, remember he broke the leg of the chair, and then he put Edge, Edge broke the leg of the chair, and then went to put Seth in the crossface, right? Like we seen him do the, Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan and other people, but Seth was able to get away. But beforehand,
Rated R Superstar.
You have to wonder if Edge's neck is anywhere near 100%.
Hold on, let me find the actual clip. Because the on WWE's YouTube, or on the Fox YouTube channel, they actually messed up. But I love the intensity that Edge delivers this line in. Let me find it. Give me a sec.
25 pounds on
Near 100%.
I love this line.
You, me, Hell in a Cell.
I love the pop of the crowd, and the best thing, not only the intensity from Edge, but Rollins' face. The absolute set. Seth's face just went to absolute horror. He was like, what the fuck? And then you have the crowd chanting yes, and then Edge is just laughing like, ha ha ha. And Seth's like, what the fuck did I just get myself into? And there it is. The beautiful segment, beautiful way. Honestly, great. This is how you build a Hell in a Cell match. Instead of having the dumbass gimmick pay-per-view, right? And we already had Hell in a Cell way back in, June or July. Remember, Hell in a Cell's already took place this year. They moved it up, so we already had the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view earlier this year. But instead, we're actually getting a organic Hell in a Cell match at Crown Jewel. This is perfect. This is when the Hell in a Cell makes perfect sense here. Instead of forcing feuds inside Hell in a Cell just because, we should only be getting Hell in a Cell in matches that deserve for them to be inside Hell in a Cell. That the feud dictates Hell in a Cell is the way to end it. Hell in a Cell is how you end blood feuds. It's how you end blood feuds. All right? And I know why they're doing this too. It's October, it's Halloween, right? Usually on a normal year, Hell in a Cell takes place. The actual pay-per-view takes place during October, but they moved it up this year for whatever reason. I still don't know why. But still, they still want to do a Hell in a Cell match since it's October. Edge and Seth qualifies perfectly for a Hell in a Cell match. This feud between Edge and Seth defines what Hell in a Cell is all about. Those two hate each other. And this is the perfect match to end the feud. Tied 1-1, right? Those two are going to go in and destroy each other. Something crazy is going to happen. I don't know what, but I can see something absolutely wild happening the ending. We do know that Edge and Seth are both going to be on Monday Night Raw, after the draft. So you never know. The feud could continue, but it shouldn't. Hell in a Cell should be the end. Edge and Seth, you can make an argument, it's been one of, if not the best feud on WWE TV this year. It has been an amazing feud. And I cannot wait to see what they do in Hell in a Cell. No matter how you feel about Crown Jewel and it taking place in Saudi Arabia and all that, right? The card is stacked. This is a stacked card. Biggie and Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Lesnar and Lesnar and Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, right? Edge and Seth inside Hell in a Cell. Sasha Bianca and Becky. This card is stacked. Stacked. And I think Edge and Seth are going to kill it, and it deserves to be a Hell in a Cell match. Great segment, and I cannot wait to see what these two do to end their feud at Hell in a Cell. Last but not least, we had Paul Heyman, pledging his allegiance again to Roman Reigns. Lesnar, of course, was not at SmackDown this week, but I believe he is advertised for next week's show. Excuse me. But the big thing lately has been, Lesnar said that he's a free agent, and he said that's because of Paul Heyman. And, of course, it's caused friction inside the bloodline with Roman Reigns, the Usos, and Paul Heyman. Because, Reigns and Usos are now having trust issues. They don't know if they can trust Heyman. And they don't know if he's secretly working and conspiring with Lesnar to take the Universal Championship from Roman. Also, what's interesting is WWE wants to do a second match with Roman and Lesnar. They're thinking that if they can't get The Rock for WrestleMania this year, which it's probably unlikely, right? If they can't get The Rock for WrestleMania, then they want to do Lesnar. Which honestly, I'm not that interested in, because this would be the third time they would have done Lesnar and Roman at a WrestleMania, but still, either way, it could happen. That's what they're thinking about, doing Lesnar and Roman again. And we've seen this match so many times, but it's different now because, Lesnar's a babyface and Roman's the heel. But, basically, Roman, basically the whole point of the segment was for Roman to have Heyman repledge his allegiance to the bloodline. But the segment started off with Roman praising Paul Heyman for getting the Usos to SmackDown, but he wanted the truth from Heyman. I'll play the segment here as it'll be the final clip we play for you guys for tonight's podcast. Hold up. Give me a second.
Queen, I want you to admit that you're responsible for Brock Lesnar's free agency.
I like that. Roman doesn't pull any punches. Roman's like, I want you to admit. Like, don't lie to me. Just say it. I know what you did. Just say it already so we can deal with it and move on.
Situation here, because no matter what I say, it's gonna sound like I'm spinning things. I am loyal and faithful to my tribal chief. I've been with their family for 40 years.
And yeah, you know I was gonna piss Roman off. Because you can see Heyman's like, walking in circles. He's like, oh, I've known your family. Or like, that has nothing to do with right now. I want you to tell me the truth. Like, who do you think you are? Plus, I like it too. Heyman wasn't looking at Roman. Heyman was looking at the floor. And then Roman just stops him, and he lifts Heyman's chin up, his buck chin up, and he forces Heyman to look at him eye to eye. Really great storytelling. You can tell Roman and Heyman, they practice this stuff in the back before they come out to the arena. I love it. I love it. The chemistry with Roman and Heyman is so great in these segments.
You chose me, rescued me, saved me to be your special counsel because you knew I am the wise man. I've been accused of many things in my life, and I'm guilty of even more, but I've never been accused of being stupid. And pulling the trigger now on a scheme to dethrone the tribal chief would be stupid. Why pull the trigger before a crown jewel? Wouldn't the whole thing be for me to stay within your circle of trust and then counsel you on a strategy at Crown Jewel and then leak the strategy over to Brock Lesnar so that Brock Lesnar would think that he has a chance, and Brock Lesnar has no chance, but he would think that he would have a chance against you? Wouldn't that be the time to pull the trigger? You know how you know that Brock Lesnar is lying to you? Because we're telling you in advance of a move that would be made against you, and only someone stupid would do something like that. And
Here's the thing that's interesting about all that. Even though Heyman's saying that, still it doesn't negate the fact that Heyman could betray Roman and realign himself with Lesnar at Crown Jewel. Even Heyman saying out here that, look, if I wasn't a dumb person, and we know how smart Heyman is, the smart thing for me to do would for me as your special counsel to come up with a strategy to beat Brock at Crown Jewel and then go tell that strategy to Brock so that at Crown Jewel it's easier for Brock to defeat you for the Universal Championship. It's really that simple. So why would I do all this when I could act like I'm still on your side and then just betray you then? So what Heyman's saying here makes perfect sense. But he still could betray Roman at all of this. He could still betray Roman at Crown Jewel. You never know. I think it's more likely than not that Roman retains at Crown Jewel, but you never know. They could pull a double turn. With the way I already mentioned to you guys earlier how successful Roman's merch sales are doing, right? They could do a double turn. They could easily turn Lesnar back into a heel, align Heyman back with him, and turn Roman babyface. They can do the head of the table gimmick kind of as a babyface. They would have to make some changes, but they could still, for the most part, keep the gimmick the same, right? You never know. I don't know. Like, there's out of all the matches at Crown Jewel, this is the match I don't know. Because even though it's more likely than not that Roman retains, Lesnar could easily walk out as Universal Champion and then they do a rematch at WrestleMania or something like that. Especially since WWE's already planning on doing a rematch. So, you don't know. Maybe Lesnar turns heel and Roman turns babyface. Maybe Heyman realigns himself with Lesnar. Or maybe Heyman, costs Lesnar the title. The same way he betrayed Lesnar back in, 2003 when Big Show became champion? There's a lot of different ways that this can go. And it's so interesting because you have Heyman in the middle. And as much as Heyman claims that he's no longer Lesnar's advocate, you can't truly believe that. You never know. Heyman's a weasel. He could flip sides like it's nothing. So you don't know. You don't know. They want you to believe that Heyman is loyal to Roman, but they're putting that doubt in your mind that maybe Heyman's not loyal. And maybe Heyman has a plan and he has something up his sleeve. Right? It's not like Lesnar's just coming out here mentioning Heyman for nothing. Clearly, something weird is going on. This could all be a strategy on Lesnar's part, just to try to break Heyman and Roman up. You never know. But it's interesting. And that's what makes this so compelling. There's so many different avenues that this can go. And it's not that easy just to pick one.
My tribal chief, I think so highly of you. You wouldn't choose a stupid man to be your special counsel. Brock Lesnar cannot stand the fact that at Crown Jewel, the conqueror will be conquered by Roman.
And I love before Heyman stops, before Heyman finishes, Roman stops him. He's like, "Nah, don't finish that. Don't finish that." I love what Roman says here.
I don't want you to tell me. I want you to look into that camera. I don't want you to. I don't want you to tell me. I want you to look into that camera and I want you to tell Brock.
I love that part. I love it. I love this. Roman's like, tell Brock that because Brock's watching at home. I love that. So the rest of this promo was just Heyman just talking to the camera, right? Basically, it's like he's staring at you, the viewer, but he's actually talking to Lesnar.
I have to give you a ton of credit. You outsmarted the wise man on this one, Frankenstein. I have to.
I want you to tell Brock.
Brock. I have to give you a ton of credit. You outsmarted the wise man on this one. Frankenstein.
You have Roman and the Usos just staring him down as Heyman's cutting the promo. I love it.
What's going to happen to you at Crown Jewel? We've had this conversation years ago. They said The Undertaker couldn't be defeated at WrestleMania. I told you The Undertaker met his match, and the match's name was Brock Lesnar.
And now the match for Brock Lesnar is Roman Reigns. And remember, last time Roman and Lesnar faced off for the Universal Championship, SummerSlam a couple years ago, right? Roman beat Lesnar. And it was like 3 minutes. It was a pretty quick match. And after time of Roman coming up short against Roman, Roman was finally able to flip the script. And now this is a way more dangerous Roman Reigns, right? A Roman Reigns that's at the top of the food chain, the best that Roman's ever been. And as great as Roman is, Brock is great too. But can Brock overcome Roman the same way he was able to do all those years ago?
Brock Lesnar has met his match, and his match's name is Roman Reigns.
I love it. I love Roman just staring in the background, staring Heyman down.
As your tribal chief, and he will fight you as a tribal beast, and you will learn at Crown Jewel
Tribal beast.
one thing: the winner and still reigning, defending, undisputed, uncontroverted WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion, the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns.
And what's so great about this too is these are all the things that Heyman used to say for Lesnar. All this stuff, right? The beast, right? The reigning, defending, undisputed Universal Champion. This is what Heyman spent years saying about Brock Lesnar. No matter if it was Brock against Roman, or Brock against Seth Rollins, or Brock against Braun Strowman, or Brock against Samoa Joe, right? It didn't matter. Heyman spent years saying these things about Brock. And now here he is. He's saying these things about Roman to Brock. That's what's interesting. That's what makes it so good.
And that's not just a prediction.
Oh, there it is.
Brock Lesnar, that
is a spoiler.
And you can believe that.
And there you have it.
Spoiler.
Bro, look at Paul Heyman's teeth, bro.
Is a spoiler. And you can believe that.
And Heyman presents Roman with the Universal Championship. And that's how the segment ends. Great stuff. Simple and to the point. Heyman realigning himself with Roman Reigns, but still, in the back of your mind, you have to keep, you never know. You never know. Heyman could still be aligning himself with Brock. You never know. Anything can happen. Crown Jewel's going to be interesting. I'll say this. I think Roman will retain, and we'll probably get a rematch down the line. But still, I would not be surprised if Lesnar ends up being Roman at Crown Jewel. I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and find out. But I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah. Anyway, where are we gonna go? last but not least, I forgot something. Naomi and Sonya Deville, their feud is still continuing, which is actually, something I find very interesting. We know that Sonya Deville has been more ignoring Naomi, who just wants to fight, who wants competition. And Naomi went up to Sonya Deville asking why she wasn't in the crown, or not the Queen's Crown tournament, right? So I'll play that for you guys before we get out of here.
I know, we have to. We're gonna have to figure it out.
So tired of this. Why was I not selected for the Queen's Crown tournament?
First of all, I don't owe you an explanation. Second of all, you really want to know the truth?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know the truth?
Mm-hmm.
You're not worthy. You're not worthy of being a queen. You're not even worthy of being on the SmackDown roster. So if I was you, I'd be considering myself lucky.
Woman, I am a two-time SmackDown Women's Champion.
We know.
What do you... Adam, could you trade me back to Raw so I can be in this tournament?
Oh, no.
I like this dynamic, but the thing is, Sonya, you got to say this. Sonya, yes, she is in an authority role, but thing is, she is kind of pushing the boundaries. Naomi is a two-time SmackDown Women's Champion. What have Selena Vega and everybody else in that tournament done? Naomi has had more success in her career than most of those women combined. So I like this story here. Sonya is so power driven, and her ego won't. Because let's be honest here, the reason why Sonya is not letting Naomi compete is because Naomi stepped up to her, and Sonya's pride is like, oh, I'm not gonna let you step up to me. So now I'm gonna punish you. I'm not gonna put you in the Queen's Crown tournament. I'm not gonna book you for matches, even though everyone knows how good Naomi is. So I find this story and this dynamic very interesting. I love how Naomi goes straight to Adam Page and is like, "Can I get traded back to Raw or something? Like, I don't want to be deal with this." But even I'll be honest, what would be the difference? Because Sonya and Adam Page also run Raw, so I don't think anything would be different.
No.
Woman, I am a two-time SmackDown Women's Champion.
We know.
What do you... Adam, could you trade me back to Raw so I can be in this tournament?
Oh, no. I'm not done with you here on SmackDown yet. You have a match next week.
Against who?
Me.
Whoa.
It's on.
I like that. So now, finally, Sonya Deville gets back in the ring. We haven't seen Sonya in the ring, I think, all year. I remember, I think it was like last year was her last match. I know that they had her take time off from the ring, of course, because she was dealing with that stalker scandal and all that, and she's been in an authority role ever since. But I'm excited for this. You guys know how much I love Sonya Deville, and I feel like she's highly underrated. So Sonya and Naomi, I've enjoyed this feud so far, and definitely I think it's going to be interesting. Naomi and Sonya has a chance to be a really, really, good match. These are the types of feuds you need in the women's division. You need them. You need these side feuds to keep things going when you don't have people fighting for championships. So Naomi and Sonya next week, that should be interesting. I could definitely see Naomi putting up a good fight, but then Sonya maybe using some underhanded tactics to win, and this is a way to continue. I believe Naomi was drafted to SmackDown, was Naomi drafted? I believe Naomi was drafted to SmackDown. But either way, man, I am very, very intrigued to see what happens here because I love both women and I want to see both succeed. Honestly, Naomi and Sonya should both be contenders for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So, I'm definitely interested to see where this goes. Sonya, it'll be interesting because, will she have ring rust? She has not been in the ring for a while. But I am excited to see the put your hair up and square up in the ring, back at it again. But we'll see what happens with Naomi and Sonya. Hopefully they actually get some time. Like give them like 10 minutes at least. Stop with this nonsense. Of giving the women only 4 minutes. They deserve way better. So Naomi and Sonya next week should be interesting. We'll see what happens. But other than that, guys, that's about all I got for you guys today. I know this was a pretty long edition of the podcast, even though I wasn't even streaming, but I had a lot on my mind and a lot I wanted to talk to you guys about, especially when it came to the women's division. But either way, it wasn't that SmackDown was bad. It's just that mainly, if I'm being honest, SmackDown wasn't even a bad show. it was the Queen's, the Queen's Crown stuff that really got me mad. The kid on the men's side with Sami Zayn and Rey Mysterio and Cesaro and Finn Balor, those were two really good matches, right? Sasha, Becky, and Bianca had a solid contract signing segment. And, of course, the Edge and Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell segment and the Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman segment were all solid. And I like what's going on with Naomi and Sonya. So, like, in my opinion, this was actually a pretty good addition to SmackDown outside of the bullshit with the Queen's Crown tournament. So, I'll give SmackDown, I think I'll say it was a good show, but they have to do better with the women's division. Easily. They have to do better with the women's division without a shadow of a doubt. But either way, that's about all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so very much for joining me here on the Legit Shoot podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you guys did, please leave a like on the video, comment, and subscribe. If you guys are new to the channel, hit the bell next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Depending on when you guys are watching this, we are planning on having a Monday Night Raw review tomorrow night. So hopefully you guys will be here. Hopefully you guys will be here for that. But thank you guys once again for the love and support. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description down below. If you guys want to talk anime, Twitter, any of those good things, you know where to find me. But thank you guys as always. I'll see you guys later. Stay safe and healthy, y'all. Peace.